Hello you guys, this is Colatius and Latius, and for this video I'm going to be bringing you the event, or not event, but the continuation of part 2 of the, is it called Behind the Curtains? I think so. Alright, so I left... Alright. Yeah, I should have left off here. The sound of a giant explosion erupted, and the sky filled with firelight, lighting up the early morning sky, night sky as clear as day. On a building not far away, several dozen figures hiding in the darkness watched the glow of the fire here, seemingly having known the blast was going to occur. Truly a grand sight. After some time, one of the people exclaimed these words, without a hint of shock in their voice, in the face of this disaster. "This is the scene of this world?" Oh, question mark. Alright. "This is the scene of this world?" Another person walked to the edge of the roof, wishing to see what was going on in the firelight more clearly. One person gave the leader a discreet glance, eyes full of dread. The leader pushed down lightly on the bill of his cap, a half smile of contempt on his face. The silver hair under his cap sparkled brilliantly under the glow of the firelight. That person understood immediately and said in a hushed tone, "Those space-time authorities will be here soon. We better go. Too bad. We'll come play again another time." At those words, their forms all disappeared from upon the high building, accompanied by a subtle warping of their surroundings. Oh boy, warping time. Alright. So, let's see. Come on. No. Alright. Flickering flames in a savage shadow enveloped that ancient white building in every corner of the square, and the panic-stricken eyes of the people. The blast from the explosion blew a piece of newspaper up in the air. It fell by the young man's foot with the year 1908 showing promptly on the logo. That year again, huh? The young man stood in the corner of the square, neither crying out nor fleeing as he surveyed the scene. He had a pair of calm eyes that I'd seen somewhere before. It was that old man named Charles. Charles, he's the one in the cabin, right? I could even see from his profile the resemblance to his older self. He still held that pocket watch in his hand, giving it an unusually long look as if checking the time. The man looked completely out of place with everything going on around him just now, for I know not where it came. The sound of a piano, melodious yet placid, sounding particularly jarring at this moment. The hand on the watch suddenly backed up in a tick on its own, but it didn't stop. It started spinning backward, faster and faster, and then suddenly stopped again. Together with the piano music, the fire from the explosion was still burning, but the shouts all around had abruptly ceased, as if someone at the scene had fallen into a brief daze. The young man took hold of the hand and resumed the watch's spinning. With a complex look on his face, not far from behind him came the voice of a boy, both excited and confused. "Where's the explosion? So cool!" So cool. Everyone there seemed to have forgotten, as if the explosion hadn't taken place right before their eyes. How did they just forget? I don't know. But the young man who had witnessed everything turned and left amidst the confusing mumblings of crowd. Before going too far, though, as if sensing something, he turned his head toward the street corner. "Observer. Observer? Us, you mean?" I followed his gaze in that direction, but I saw nothing but darkness. A familiar voice reverberated in my mind.
"Did you really see it all with your own eyes?"
Ooh. I blinked. A shaft of moonlight penetrated through layers of cloud and fell into darkness. In the gloomy forest, two forms were locked in a standoff. It was Victor and that plain, nondescript, instantly forgettable person. "I must warn you." This person's voice was also perfectly flat. "Oh, okay. I must warn you," with a hint of emotion. "Please stop spreading information about the explosion. Your actions have already affected the progress of this world. Someone has become aware of our existence." Would it be us? "Even though the design has led to our appearance, this matter will not be changed in any way." Victor looked noticeably fatigued, but he didn't show any sign of backing down, letting out a cold laugh at the old man's words.
You people aren't the only ones who can alter the future, Time Observer.
You can too, right? You misunderstand the meaning of our existence. We have never altered the future. Quite the opposite. We are correctors of history. The purpose of my journey here is only to hope that you will join us. Your power's scope of influence has already surpassed the dimension of this current world. Before you are rejected by the world. Victor raised a hand to cut him short, a resolute look in his eyes.
I will not leave this world.
Damn. Even though you've seen that all of the future will come to pass?
No matter what happens, the person I'm seeking is right here.
Is he talking to me? The first faint rays of the dawn broke, and a beam of white light from the rising sun illuminated a tiny corner of the attic. In the narrow attic, the towering figure of a man seemed crammed into one side. The light tinged his black hair with a warm glow. Victor picked up a shard of glass with a pair of tweezers. With stiff motions, he glued the shard back in place, looking quite awkward as he did. Awkward. The object in his hand seemed to be a shattered... Oh no, this chapter. Oh boy. The shards of glass caught up the dawn light, refracting it into resplendence of rays that happened to hit my eye. I felt a sting of pain, and the light transformed into a kaleidoscope of colors, like a Van Gogh painting. Then it suddenly morphed into all kinds of scenes, flashing before my eyes. A desolate dock, a plaza empty of people, a park lush with trees, a familiar apartment building entrance. Shrill, maniacal shouts pierced my ears. Damn. I brought my hands up to cover them, but those painful sounds could still be heard as clear as day. Itai. Amidst these blood-curdling sounds of slaughter, all of these different scenes were bathed red by the setting sun. In the back of my mind, I had a feeling they were connected with me. I struggled to see more clearly. In all of those places, without exception, there were two figures, one tall and one short, and a blood-stained dagger. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Are we referencing that? Oh, because we got stabbed, bro. A heart felt heavy for some reason. My heart felt heavy for some reason, and cold, with an inexplicable stab of pain. Behind all of these phantasm-like scenes, I saw the figure of a man under the light. Each fragmented beam of light, each isolated image gradually got strewn about, gathered up, and ultimately formed to a black hole-like vortex as he went about repairing and gluing. The man held this vortex in the palm of his hand, holding it aloft in the air, the heavy look of oppression in his eyes. On the front of his shirt there was an unfamiliar star-shaped badge that shone with a cold gleam. His eyes were icy, like a sharp blade poking at me.
That'll do it.
Thank you. A boundless vortex instantly engulfed everything. Just then, a beam of sunshine hit my eyes. The warmth of the dawn rays spilled into the attic, onto the body of the sleeping man. He slept fitfully, his brow tensed, as if he had the weight of the world in his shoulders. Damn. A perfectly restored glass cup sat on the attic table. The cracks in the glass were visible, and it glowed with a gentle, dazzling shine. I watched this scene in silence, but not sure why. But I wish that time could freeze. Victor, I reached out a hand, wanting to smooth his brow, all the while knowing that an unbridgeable distance lay between us. Suddenly, a sound of soft music was heard in the peaceful attic. In the corner of the attic, at some point, the time observer had appeared, watching Victor sleep and seemingly deep in thought. Although he clearly didn't open his mouth, I could hear his voice in my ear. Whoa. We still can't convince him now, but he will stand with us in the end. Shit. You've seen it, haven't you? I didn't dare speak, and just kept my eyes locked on that time observer, trying to glean anything at all from his indifferent face. All mirais have only one conclusion. The voice was soft but resolute. He lifted his head and looked right at me. You know this better than anyone, yes? Oh, shit. My mind reeled in shock as if struck by some unknown force, and all of my senses recoiled. Help me, don't kill me. Who's talking? Give it to me. That's mine. You can all die. What is that sound? I covered my head. Those cries for help, those hysteric demonic voices, they droned out in my ear, dragging me into the most ruthless of scenes. Oh Lord. A gunshot rang out in a crowd, and a piercing red color spread outward from a young woman fallen to the ground. There were two exactly identical women, one of whom laying in a puddle of blood. Again, a blood red backdrop. I saw a silver dagger gleaming with a cold light and reflecting a falling teardrop. Whose tear was it? Victor's. This scene that had replayed itself countless times finally became clear. Oh man. I saw the dagger in Victor's hand plunged into the chest of the young woman in his arms. Oh, in that moment, an infinite feeling of sorrow and pain welled up and engulfed me. I clutched my chest and bent over, my entire body trembling, but I still didn't want to look away. I don't know why I so stubbornly watched Victor, watching his pain like my own. Behind him, the dazzling white light turned into a giant vortex, swallowing the blood-soaked young woman. Victor's arms were empty, and he fell to the floor. Warning, warning, this dimension is too high. Would you like to select a lower dimension? Warning, observer affected by outside force. Will now. Whoa. The constantly flashing warning light was quickly replaced by a white light, and I couldn't see anymore. Pain flared in my chest, or perhaps it was the white light piercing my eyes again that caused a long held teardrop to roll down my cheek. Oh, that teardrop fell on the young woman's eyelash. I saw two of her. They both opened their eyes. My vision was flooded by a sky full of snow. Yuki. How much more of this do we have? A bolt of silvery white lightning cut across the night sky without warning. Click. In the stillness came the sound of a door opening softly. The light of outside lit up a pallid white face in the darkness. The young woman in the black dress, a black box in her hand, opened her tightly closed eyes and happened to look right at me. My heart leapt. My gaze lingered on her familiar face, then shifted to the black box in her hand. It's us. Oh, you spotted me. The young woman let out a laugh, tinged with cunning, as she held up that oddly shaped black box. A certain energy radiated through around her, and light started to wrap around her too. The world changed before my eyes. I saw before me a long, long passageway. I could hear a cluster of jumbled footsteps coming nearer from the distance. Oh, God. It was a group of children wearing white lab coats. The lead boy was pulling a little girl by the hand closely behind him, trying to put as much distance as they could between them and wherever they were coming from. Oh, boy. But there were people behind them, already on their tail, the sound of their footsteps falling closer and closer. Just then, a high wall blocked the path of the children. Their faces went ghastly pale, and looks of panic and despair came over them. But then the nightmarish footsteps suddenly went silent. I stopped time! Over the wall! Quick! Hearing the boy's words, all the other children quickly found their nerve and started climbing over the wall with his help. Oh boy, I hope things go okay. Wow, you're amazing! Don't mention it. The boy spoke through gritted teeth, and one could tell from the increasingly strained look on his face how much he was struggling. Look out! The bolt of light flashed by. The boy still had a stunned look on his face as a small figure leapt out in front of him. The girl held her eyes closed tight, and a look of pain washed over her face. Blood trickled down from her eyes, which the boy found piercing to look at. Vein bulging hands dragged the heavily injured girl. Blood ran down her chin, forming a dotted trail of blood. Is that scene? Her eyes can't see. A voice broke the painful truth gently. Flowing romantic piano music echoed through the empty music classroom. The comely figure of a high school-aged girl was reflected on the wall. Floor-to-ceiling curtains billowed in the wind as if sensing something. The girl looked out the window, but there was nothing there. On the way home from school, she heard someone say that school bully Gavin started trouble again, but this time he'd almost gotten himself put in the hospital, of course. The girl just smiled, but didn't know about much about this boy, and they never crossed paths personally. But little did she know, on her way home, there would be a nightmare waiting for her. Uh-oh. Have you heard of the plan? NW plan? In the blink of an eye, a girl laid on the mental experiment table, her open eyes completely blank. Oh boy. The experiment was quite successful. Under a blinding light, a sharp blade gleamed coldly as it fell through the air. The girl closed her eyes in fear. This time there was no little hand holding tightly to hers. But even though she looked uneasy, there was still a smile on her lips. That escape plan for a few days before was quickly found out, but the golden-haired boy was sent away, so perhaps he won't have to undergo any more cruel experience like this. Oh, come on right now. Evolved values are unstable. We'll have to up the dose. An ice-cold liquid coursed into the girl's arm. Let's see. And she quickly cried in pain, her body convulsing against the straps that bound her tightly to the operating table. This is fucked up. There has been an adverse reaction to the medication. Conduct emergency life-saving measures. Red and white lights flashed without pause, and the silhouettes of people coming and going flickered a little. Everything blurred and shook like a mirage, and then finally went to black. She's dead. Oh boy. It felt as if a gaping hole opened up in my chest, an ineffable hole of emptiness and sadness, and only the sound of a whistling wind rushing through. The dark sky suddenly burst into countless pieces, the reek of blood wafted in the air. A fog swept from the edges toward the blood-stained center of the wasteland. Whoa. In the white fog, there was the shape of a girl sprinting, hurriedly and uncertainly toward the center. She fled toward the man with blood streaming down his shoulder. While he was off his guard, she pushed him into a black vortex behind him. Oh, I'm going to push you. Now we're even. Whoa. After watching the vortex finally swallow up the shocked face of the man, the girl turned and walked away. Countless black figures rushed at her from all sides. The whole world was awash with dark red blood. The deafening sounds of gunfire seemed like they would shatter one's soul. Yikes. In the white lobby, a young woman wearing a black dress lay in a pool of blood. Her black hair and blood splayed out around her, blossoming on the sheeted white floor like a gory flower. Holy crap. You see, we're already used to being a sacrificial lamb. Oh, God. Her gentle voice sounded in my ear. Her tone was light and soft, as speaking of something unrelated to herself. She's always talking about, we really are used to being a sacrificial lamb. But she was this girl, and the girl was her. The flowing blood seeped out and reached my feet, pulling past the soles of my feet. I never knew there was so much blood in a person's body. The sounds of gunfire continue on. But this world seemed covered in a blanket of mist, and all I could see clearly was the blood on my feet and the person in the blood. That voice never stopped either. It seemed to be right up close to my ear, each syllable entering my brain with crystal clarity. On this path of evolution, I'm doomed to be just a step under the feet. So I often think, perhaps this world has already come to its end. Oh boy. Just then, a wail of despair cut off her voice. It seemed to be someone calling out someone else's name. The young woman paused, but then continued speaking. Leaving might not be a bad thing after all. I felt a light weight on my shoulders, as if I'd been patted gently by someone. The blood-soaked girl on the ground suddenly opened her eyes, smiling a meek smile from out of the puddle of red. You can keep watching. She stood up, her wound and all the blood seemingly gone in an instant, and she walked in the direction of that crying. Her black figure walked further and farther away until she was out of sight. All I could see was a world covered in white snow. A frozen snowflake landed on my face and slowly melted into water. Toward evening, a gentle light splashed through a crack in the clouds onto a red cable-stayed bridge and tinged the fluttering snow with a glow of red. Whoa, not again. A sudden explosion boomed, rocking the heavens with the earth. and the earth. A giant blast of air sent a wave surging from the river surface. I was a little
Has
numb.
this scene happened already too?
A young man's voice came from behind me. I turned and saw two figures standing beside the river. It's like as if Sean is with us right now. The one who just spoke was standing high up, watching the entirety of the explosion with squinting eyes. This man, decked out in rock and roll garb, looked neither panicked nor excited. Is that Sean? Right, that's his name. Beside Sean stood the woman in the black dress. She looked toward the billowing plumes of black smoke, but that old gentle smile on her face, but not a hint of interest in her eye either. I already can't remember.
Oh yeah, that other you is really funny. Today, she saved someone on the street. Did you used to do stuff like that too?
What? I'm not like her. I don't do meaningless nonsense like that. After all, she's not me. Oh boy. A flicker of disgust flashed in the woman's eyes. She made a circular motion with her finger and produced a black envelope, handing it to Sean. On the envelope was a golden cursive letter A. Stick to the plan. I have to go.
Oh?
Oh.
I thought you'd like this scene.
Whoa. He's talking to us or her like their friends. Sean took the letter nonchalantly, not even opening it, just popping it up by the corner in his hand and spinning it around like a toy.
What are you planning to do anyway?
The woman, already some distance away, turned her head and a radiant smile formed on her red lips. Why, of course, I'm going to accept my crown as queen. The soaring sounds of a piano poured through the resplendent, I don't know what that means, concert hall like a gentle stream flowing through the air. And on the other end was a stage of smoke and gunfire. Blood spattered the merciless scene, of course. Both sides of the great hall were in an intense firefight, and a violent wind coiled around one of the people among them, knocking anybody within several meters of him to the ground. Gavin wiped away some blood from his face as he kept his sharp, cold gaze locked upon the enemy before him. The woman in black dress sat on the stage with legs outstretched, watching the whole hall from her perched on high and idly blowing rose petals out of her hand. What the fuck? Before the petals hit the ground, they were lifted up by a wind and soared up toward the ceiling until all traces of them was lost. Oof. A fierce blast of wind swept through every corner of the hall. A massive crystal chandelier fell with a crash, plunging the hall into a gloomy darkness. Holy crap. This is a crazy scene. The woman walked to a table and held up a bouquet of blood-red roses. Everything around it was mostly destroyed, but this bouquet was perfectly intact. Standing across from the woman, Gavin swiped an icy blast of wind at the black-clothed men standing in his way.
Get out of my way!
Get out of my way, assholes. And after current blew past the men in black and hit the rose bouquet in the woman's hand, sending the red petals fluttering everywhere. Damn. A slight wound appeared on the woman's fair cheek and quickly formed beads of blood. But she seemed to not feel it at all and laughed gently at the flowers. Ha ha ha. Yeah. She's like, okay, it's just whatever. Not a single person in the hall noticed her, just as no one could see the rose petals scattered everywhere. Gavin grit his teeth and tensed his body with a look of resolute determination in his eye, as if he was about to launch a final offense. The black wind was mixed with a few streaks of red. The man in the center of the raging wind suddenly stopped moving and held a trembling hand to his chest. Gavin? In the blink of an eye, the black cyclone completely swallowed him up and then dissipated in every direction. Did you see? Did you? Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever seen this image before, actually. I wish I can get this image without the text. Did you see? I'm just sitting here. The woman plucked off a petal with her lily white fingers and held it between her lips. The familiar, pure face offset by the brilliant red of the rose, seemed both delicate and cruel. Her eyes glanced upward as if she was speaking to me. From this moment on, all Mirais have only one conclusion. We always die. That tender and innocent yet cruel and vicious smile froze on her face. The scene before me once again started flashing intensely. There were countless rays of light and a mess of shards, all of them showing an identical scene. I saw a glacier split open, a teardrop falling onto water, and white flares of light attacking from all sides. White light finally engulfed everything. The world fell silent. When I opened my eyes again, I finally saw my surroundings clearly. Oh my goodness. Before me was a gigantic space-time gear as expansive as the sky and a black vortex stretching out through the infinite universe. As I looked on in a daze, that voice sounded again in my ear.
Thank you for opening this door.
Huh?
Now you can stay here forever. No need to change anyone's ending.
Who's that? Those starry points of... Hey, we need to change an ending, guys. Come on now. Those starry points of light glittered... as always, each one like a memory. But even at the center of a galaxy, I was unable to shake a feeling of desolation. Just who am I? In the deepest recess of my mind, an ethereal thread was tied to me. On the other end of it, that voice was urging
Have you
me.
made a decision?
Who's talking right now? I looked at my fingertip. That little flash of light was almost extinguished.
Look, the door is open.
Oh. The door is open. Extinguished. So no more? Well, damn. I don't know who that was. I don't think that was Sean's voice, and that definitely was not Hypno Piano Boy's voice. I don't think so. Of course it had to end like this. Why? Well. That was crazy. I actually... Yes, for once I can actually say I had no idea that image existed. Holy crap. She's just sitting there with her petals of flowers like blah, blah, blah. Okay. I mean, technically, she does become the sacrificial lamb every fucking time. Can we change that? I don't know. That would be great to know. So, are we going to get any more? Because it says stay tuned. I'm not sure. Well, if I do get any more, or if we do get any more, I'll definitely read. Oh, look, the screen is the same as that. Oh, yeah, by the way, I also realized that they also pop up in chapters 2. Like the vortexes. But... Yep. Yeah, so very interesting. So, yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's like a summary of obviously things that have happened, which I'm pretty sure which means we're going to get a new chapter soon. I am saving my diamonds for dear life. Because I'm going to want Victor and Lucian's this time. Because Victor's chapter card is actually an SR card this time. So yeah, although I hope that you enjoyed this video. I have no idea if we're going to get any more of these chapters. If we are, I am totally looking forward to them. Excited to read them because holy cow. I mean, this game's, oh. Like, oh. I wonder if we have reached the part where we get that very ominous background with all the guys that have like a different art style. I don't remember when that happened. Is it this chapter? Well, I don't know, guys. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.